I'm Boston's Jonathan Classy, a reporter for the EVSC Community Link. During my research on Treestand Safety, I have learned that in the tri-state, the past few seasons, several hunters have been seriously injured due to a fall. This morning, I called Indiana Conservation Officer Tony Mann to visit me at my tree stand to learn more about what hunters can do to help prevent falls and injuries.
Hey there, Officer Mann.
Hello, John. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Thanks for agreeing to meet with me.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Well, hopefully, together we can learn a little bit about tree stand safety.
All right.
One of the most popular pieces of equipment used by deer hunters is a tree stand. Statistics show that 1 out of every 3 tree stand users suffers an accident sometime during their hunting career. Tragically, some of these accidents are debilitating, and some are fatal. The real number of tree stand accidents is difficult to determine, since only the most serious are reported. I'm Boston's Jonathan Classy, a reporter for the EVSC Community Link. During my research on tree stand safety, I have learned that in the tri-state, the past few seasons, several hunters have been seriously injured due to a fall. This morning, I called Indiana Conservation Officer Tony Mann to visit me at my tree stand to learn more about what hunters can do to help prevent falls and injuries.
Hey there, Officer Mann.
Hello, John. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Thanks for agreeing to meet with me.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Well, hopefully, together we can learn a little bit about tree stand safety.
All righty, let's do it.
So, Officer Mann,
Yes.
why don't you tell me a little bit about your role with the Department of Natural Resources?
Well, as an Indiana Conservation Officer, John, I guess our primary duties are to enforce all laws that involve with the Department of Natural Resources, as well as we do all the boating laws and all other laws in Indiana, as well as some federal laws as well. Then, like today, we're talking about tree stands. We also teach hunter education, which in hunter education, some of that is with tree stand safety, because falls from tree stands are the #1 hunting accidents in the state of Indiana.
Last year on September 1st, I'd come out to this patch of woods to check a tree stand that I had in this tree right here. The stand was about 25 feet up in the tree, and all I was doing was checking the stand to see if I needed to cut any shooting lanes or move the stand to a different tree. I planned on being here about 10 minutes or so and then leaving. I climbed up the tree and I stood on the stand and I was checking my surroundings. I took one step to the back of the stand and the straps on the stand snapped. I fell to the ground and landed right here where I'm standing. When I landed, I heard a huge pop, which I guess was the bones in my back fracturing. I laid here in complete agony for about 15 minutes or so. My legs were on fire. I felt like I'd broke both of my legs, and finally realized that I was alive and not dead, because I kind of passed out a little bit. And I crawled to the field. There's an open cornfield right here about 15 yards away. Once I got out there, I kind of realized what had just happened. There was about 3 things that I did wrong that would have saved about 6 months of my life and a lot of agony. One thing that I didn't do was I did not have a tree stand harness on. I've been hunting for over 20 years, and I have tree stand harnesses, and sometimes I wear them, but religiously I never had, and obviously until now. So I didn't have a harness on. The second thing that I'd done is when I put that stand up the year prior, I went down to a local hardware store and I bought some ratchet straps from the store. Well, I found out later, after I came back 8 months after my accident and took this stand down, I found out that those straps were not TMA approved straps, which is Tree Stand Manufacturing Association approved straps. And I could take the strap actually and just pull it apart. That was the second big mistake I made. The third big mistake I made was nobody knew I was out here. I was fortunate enough to have my cell phone in my pocket, and it didn't damage when I landed. And when I had enough wits about me, I called my wife and told her what happened. So that's what happened a year ago.
So what advantage does a deer hunter get from being in an elevated tree stand?
Well, there's several different reasons a deer hunter, particularly a bow hunter, would want to use an elevated hunting platform. Number one, you know, when you're using archery equipment, you have to draw your bow. And being above the deer's line of sight, you know, a deer don't normally look up, so you mask any movement that you may have when you draw your bow. And then number two, it gives you, a sight, an observation advantage. You know, being up, 15, 20 feet high, you can see a lot more area than if you're at ground level. And then thirdly, a deer's sense of smell is one of their key defenses. And being above the plane, so to speak, above the playing field, it keeps your scent and odors above what the deer can smell. So there's several different reasons a guy might want to, or a girl might want to use an elevated hunting platform.
So obviously, with tree stands, accidents occur sometimes.
Yes, they do.
What do you think the main cause of that is?
The main cause is not wearing any type of fall restraint system or a full body harness. So with that, John, let's take a look at how fall restraint systems have evolved over the years. All right, first one is an old strap system, which you would put this around the tree like this, and then there was two schools of thought on this single belt system. One, they started out where they'd wear them around your waist like a belt, but it would actually compress your diaphragm and cause suffocation. So then they decided to move it up here. But if you was rather disproportionate in body size, you'd actually hang upside down with this, okay? They call this a 3/4 harness, okay? And this would keep you vertical, but if you passed out or slumped, you could actually slide out, okay? So then as things progress across the last 20 years or so, we came to the full body harness. In the full body harness, you'll see you got the 3/4 harness like what I just showed you. All right, you got the top part, the shoulder straps, the belt that goes around your waist, but then you also, in addition to that, have the leg straps which go around your legs to support and hold your weight in, if you would fall off your platform. Okay, so that's the full body harness. So then they come up with this vest system, and with this vest system, you can see the straps are actually sewed inside the vest. This is the same harness system, only it's all enclosed in the vest. And then, of course, the leg straps, of course, aren't in the vest, and they just go, wrap around your leg and have buckles in them, somewhat similar to like what you'd have when you buckle your seatbelt in your car.
Well, this one looks very secure. Would you mind if I try it on?
Yeah, let's try it on. We'll show you how to properly wear it, okay?
Okay.
So you just slip that on like so.
All right.
All right, buckle your front buckle.
Then bring this under.
Yeah, bring that under your leg. And buckle. And the same on the other side. And then you're all safe and secure.
So, what part of this vest actually attaches me to the tree?
From that, we have our tree strap or tree tether, which is, here to the back. So if you would fall out, you become suspended there.
So it'll catch me.
It would catch you. And like this particular model has deceleration stitching, that if you would fall, stitching undoes and takes out some of that sudden stop, so to speak. But this is what you would hook onto your tree strap onto the tree.
Okay.
Or what we've began using now is a lifeline system, and we'll show you how to do that here in a second. All right, whenever you're climbing a ladder, you always want to maintain at least 3 points of contact. So when you're climbing, you got, like right now, example, I have 3 points of contact. 2 hands and a foot, 2 feet and a hand would be my 3 points of contact. When you're climbing up a ladder, you always want to maintain 3 points of contact. Now, in addition to our 3 points of contact, we also have our lifeline system. If you'll step over this way, I'll show you how to hook onto that.
This is what attaches to my tether.
This is what attaches to your tether, okay? You take this and you take your beaner, you hook into that, tighten her up, and then as you go up, this pressic knot slides.
Okay.
Okay, it'll slide up and down easily, but if something would happen, you slip, you know, if it's icy cold, frosty, wet, you know, the steps or something, you slip off off the ladder. If you slip, that will lock and catch you, and you won't hit the ground. Okay? And then when you regain your composure, you just loosen up your knot, and you can slide up and down as you go up the rope. But this is an additional safety measure that we've started suggesting people use, you know, in addition to the 3 points of contact.
So, should I take my bow up with me now?
Yeah, go ahead. But one thing, Jonathan, you don't ever want to climb the tree stand with your equipment in hand. Let me show you this. We also have on our ladder stand here, we have our haul line or pull-up rope. And see, we can attach our bow to our haul line.
Ah, excellent.
Okay. And see, now you got how many points of contact again?
3 points of contact.
You maintain your 3 points of contact, and you can hang your bow right there on your haul line or pull-up rope, get up to your perch,
All right.
and then when you're all settled in, then you can pull your equipment up to you. You never want to carry any equipment, whether it be your bow, a gun, your pack. You know, always pull that, you know, so you can, you know, safely climb with your 3 points of contact. Never hold on to anything like that.
All right. Well, should I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead. Just like that, you just move that pressic up as you go up. Very good. All right, John, when you get up there, you want to take your tree tether and take all that slack out of that and have that all the way up to the top of your rope.
All right.
Just like that, so you don't have hardly any slack at all. So when you sit down, you'll be good and tight.
And just go ahead and turn around?
Yes. Now you can pull up your equipment and you're ready to start hunting.
All right. So, Officer Man, this is real easy with a bow, but let's say I was gun hunting. Is there a safe way to pull up a firearm?
Yes, there is. You want to make sure your firearm's unloaded and that your muzzle's pointed in a safe direction. So if you lower your bow, I'll show you how to raise up a gun, okay? All right, John. Now, if you was gun hunting, you have to wear a hunter orange, so you'll wear your hunter orange, all right? So we'll send that up first, okay?
Okay.
Now when you're using your gun, you want to make sure that it's unloaded, action open, and you want to bring it up to you, muzzle pointed down.
So, Officer Man, Currently, I'm on a ladder stand. Are there other types of tree stands that hunters commonly use?
Yes, John, there is. If you want to come on down here, we'll go take a look at some of the other stands that hunters commonly use.
All right. So as I'm climbing down this ladder stand, are there any other safety tips I should know about it?
Well, the first one, you want to be aware of where your tree tether is at all times. You don't want to become entangled in that, around your neck, around your shoulders or anything. You want to move your prusik down with you as you come down the stand. Also, when you put up your stand, if we back up a little bit further, is that you want to have at least 3 people help you put up a stand.
Alrighty. Well, guess I can give you your old chat back now.
Okay. All right, John, this one commonly used is known as a fixed position or a lock-on or a latch-on stand. Any of those terms would work. I call them lock-ons myself. But you'll see, you carry it in, it's lightweight, portable, so you can move. Also, we don't have a ladder, so you have to use climbing sticks like what we have here. These here are actually individual sections, and you strap them on the tree, and as you go up, you add a section as you go up the tree till you get to your desired height. And then when you get to your desired height where you want to put your stand, then you attach your stand, okay?
Okay.
A thing that you want to remember with your fixed position stands or your lock-on stands is that when you get them set up to where you want to hunt at, you always want to have a section of, these are, like I said, climbing sticks. You want to have climbing sticks above the stand itself. You don't want to have to get to the top of your stick and crawl into the stand. You want to have your sticks set up so that you actually climb up your sticks above the stand and that you just step off into the stand. That's where a majority of our accidents happen, is, like I said, getting into or out of the stands themselves. And again, you'll be maintaining your 3 points of contact, only this time it's with your climbing sticks.
So how well are these able to actually support someone's weight?
There's manufacturer recommendations. A majority of them are probably 300-pound load limits.
Yeah. Perfect. Nice. Well, you mentioned there was another kind of stand. Should we take a look at that?
Yes, we can. All right, now if you want to follow me over to this next tree and we'll look at that one.
All right.
Our last type of stand is a climbing tree stand. There's different type of varieties of climbing stands, but they all accomplish the same thing. You actually use the stand itself to climb up the tree. And while we're on the trees, particularly with a climbing stand, you want to pay attention to your bark. You want to make sure that you have a kind of a soft bark, one that the stand will bite into. You can't have a hard barked or a shaggy barked tree. Those won't work. Again, with the trees, you want to make sure you got a good straight tree. There's no limbs on the tree itself that you can work up the tree. Also, you want to pay attention to what's around you. You want to make sure, number one, that you're climbing up a live tree, and that'd be with the other stands as well. Make sure that you use a live tree. And then you want to be aware of your surroundings. Make sure there's no dead limbs in the tree that you're in, above you, of course.
Right.
But then you also want to pay attention to any trees that's in your immediate proximity, a windy day like today or windier, a limb or a tree could, possibly fall and hit you while you're in the stand. Now, you see how we got the angle set on the stand?
Yeah.
They're set at an angle, because what happens, the base of the tree may be one diameter, but as you go up the tree, the diameter gets smaller. So you'll see here in a minute, as you go up the tree, the stand will actually level out. You never want to make adjustments to the stand, the angle of the stand while you're up in the air. Okay, always do those, from the ground level. If you get up to the height that you want to hunt at and your angle is not correct, by all means, go back down to the bottom and start again. Don't ever try to adjust the stand while you're up in the air.
November 13th, 2009, I was setting my tree stands up in Perry County, getting ready for opening day of gun season. Me and my buddies was out there. We were setting up tree stands, just having a good time. We were going to put our tree stands down at the bottom of the tree. We decided that I would climb up there, take a look around. I was hunting a new area, so I got up in the tree and I made a really bad mistake. First mistake was not having a safety harness with me, and it was in the truck. The second mistake I made was adjusting my tree stand while I was up in the air. I readjusted the tree stand, and I went and put pressure down on the rest to sit down, and when I did, it flipped out backwards. I fell 22 feet, landed kind of on my legs and my right wrist. The only thing that kept me from falling on my back was I grabbed the bottom of the tree stand on the way down, the platform. That kept my feet going down first. I landed on my right ankle, and the tree stand came up and hit me across the top of the mouth here, breaking my palate in 6 places. I broke my wrist in 2, and I broke my ankle in 1.
You just want to keep the weight toward the outside edge or the back of the stand. You don't ever want to put your weight on the inside.
Okay.
Also remember that we got a little bit different system. We've used the lifeline system on the other stands. This one just has the same pressing that you're familiar with from the other stands, but this loop you move up as you go up the tree itself.
Okay, so I move it with me.
Move it with you. Okay, get your feet. You get your feet underneath the stirrups. Your heels will be behind that strap, just like that. Okay?
All right, I'm gonna pull this down just a little more.
Pull it down till it's underneath your bottom, and we call it the sit-down, stand-up method of climbing a tree. You sit down, pull your feet up to you, point your toes, pull up your heels, move the bottom portion of the stand. Go ahead, try that.
Okay, just like that?
Uh-huh. Now you stand up, move your seat portion up to your bottom, and then you sit down, pull your feet up. There you go. So you stand up, you move your seat up, and then you just continue, move your rope up, take your slack out. And again, you always have to be aware of where that rope's at. You don't want to get it wrapped around your arms or your neck, okay?
Well, Officer Man, now that I'm up here, how do I go about getting down? Do you do
Okay,
it the same way?
to come back down, you can do it the same way, just the opposite. You sit down, let your legs down, and then move your seat portion down the tree, and you inchworm yourself back down the tree in reverse.
So, I do notice that the top portion and the bottom portion are connected by rope. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's a very important safety feature that you want to use with your climbing stands, so that in case something would happen as you're climbing, or even as you're hunting up there, if for one reason or another the bottom portion or the climbing portion of the stand would become loose and go skidding down the tree, it's not going to go only as far as that rope that connects the 2 pieces. So yeah, that's an important safety feature to keep in mind when using climbing tree stands.
Well, Officer Man, before I ever got into deer hunting, I actually was driving by and I saw what looked like a homemade stand. What would you say about those?
Yes, there are some people that still use homemade stands, but really you've seen 3 different types of stands. We don't recommend using the homemade wooden stands, because animals can chew on the wood. The woods become rotted or weathered. The screws or nails pull out of the wood, so they can be pretty dangerous. And with today's modern stands, and as economical as they are to purchase, you can find one that suits your needs and not even have to go to the trouble of making a homemade one. And besides, a lot of these stands nowadays, you can buy a manufactured stand for about as cheap as what it would cost you to buy all the lumber to make a homemade stand. So we don't even recommend using those anymore.
Well, This other day I was watching television, and I saw a PSA on Treestand Safety and fall harnesses. Have you seen those?
Yes, I have. That's a very good one. It kind of gets the point home about, wearing your fall restraint system.
Dad, I got an A.
I'm gonna tickle both of them.
We love you.
Your safety system. Don't let your next hunt be your last.
Well, that PSA really got me thinking. Some people may not be comfortable, going up in a tree and, suspending there or in the ladder stand sitting there, if you're afraid of heights or something. So is there an alternative that a hunter could use?
Yes, John, there is. We have manufactured ground blinds, or you can even make your own out of debris, branches, trees or whatever, a type of blind. But the manufactured ground blinds are becoming more popular. And we happen to have one of those with us today if you'd like to go see it.
Yeah, let's check it out.
All right, John, like we was talking about, if you don't like to hunt from an elevated platform, we have ground blinds. This here happens to be a commercially made ground blind, of course, but these are becoming more and more popular, especially with the recruitment of youth into hunting. With this, you can sit in here concealed, especially with a youngster. You can take a cooler of snacks, take the handheld games, color books, sit back and read or whatever to keep the youth occupied. And that keeps, the wind, the elements, the wind, the rain, keeps you out of that, and even controls some of the scent when you're blocked inside of a contained area.
So, Officer Mann, are there any other general safety tips for hunters?
Well, yes, John, there is. One is have a plan for your hunt, and then hunt your plan. Leave a message, leave a memo. If you leave a note on the refrigerator, the dining room table, or in the dashboard of your truck, let somebody know where you're at, so that if something would happen to you, friends, family, us as law enforcement and rescuers can know that you're at the oak stand. Have with you a cell phone. The majority of the places around here have cell coverage. If you don't have the cell phones, two-way radios, have a buddy system. Like if you and your buddy hunt together, if you have the two-way radios, if you don't have cell coverage, you can actually be in contact, if one of you would need help. And then the old standard of having an audible device, whether it be a whistle, an air horn, and your three signals, whether it's 3 shots, 3 whistle blasts, is a sign of distress for help.
Well, I guess I'm ready. Thank you very much for meeting with me.
All right, good luck and have a safe season.
You too.
After meeting with Conservation Officer Mann, I headed over to St. Mary's Medical Center in Evansville, Indiana, to meet with trauma doctor Steve Lanzarotti to learn more about how debilitating tree stand accidents can be.
Well, thank you, Dr. Lanzarotti, for meeting with me today. So, what are some of the common injuries you see from tree stand falls here at St. Mary's Medical Center?
The most common injuries that we see relate to broken bones, especially broken legs, broken arms. We see some broken ribs with associated lung injuries, cuts, scratches, abrasions, things like that. Probably the most severe type of injuries that we see are related to the head injuries and brain injuries.
So is it common for a victim to have lots of brain trauma?
Well, they can, depending on how they fall. If a person falls, say, face or head first out of a tree stand and lands right on their head, then you're going to have broken skull, bones, you're going to have some brain injury, possible also some spinal cord injury as well.
So from a medical perspective, what are some tips that you would give hunters to ensure their safety?
Well, first and foremost, you need to ensure that the equipment that you take with you is checked out, that you trust it, and feel comfortable because you're putting your life in your equipment's hand. If you're going to go up into a stand, you need to make sure that the stand is secure to the tree. If it's the first time you've used it for the year, there's nothing to say that over the course of the year since you've used it that you haven't developed dry rot or an unstable surface. So you need to ensure that your stand is appropriately cared for. And last but not least, make sure that you don't go out alone. If you're injured and don't have the ability to call for help, then you'll be out there for hours before somebody potentially finds you.
For further information and resources on Treestand Safety, be sure to visit the Treestand manufacturer's website at tmastands.com.